Homemade blowgun. This is a fun little project. It's easy too. And the weapon is just a real treat to use and play with. Here you can see a smattering of do-it-yourself darts, along with a do-it-yourself target. I've got a plank wrapped in cardboard inside of a cardboard box. Blowguns are prehistoric, but they are still a thing, so here's a modern one with accessories. Modern ones, I should say. But the blowgun is such a simple implement overall, just by its nature, that it's really easy to make one yourself, and it's surprisingly accurate. Now, the blowgun is a weapon, but a peculiar one. It's almost always just a hunting implement, and here you can see why. If you need to carry something this long or anything like it, it's going to be cumbersome. They're hollow by nature, right? They have to be, or the ammunition can't pass through, so it's long, thin, and basically delicate. So for warfare purposes, it's suitable only for an ambush, really. There are indigenous people that use them, though, including attaching essentially a bayonet to them. That's not what you're looking at here. What you're looking at here is a traditional Japanese blowgun. Because there's basically no weapon Japan doesn't like and turn into some kind of a pastime or practice. So here's the pop culture version of a Japanese blowgun, but realistically it was more of a mainstream hunting thing, and there's a sport, essentially, that still exists in, using it for just accuracy competitions. But if it is going to be an anti-personnel item, then you need poison on the tip. Or for any sizable kind of animal. So here's how easy this is to make. You get half-inch PVC, which is really cheap, and you cut it at the desired length. I went with about 5 feet for my kids, and about 6 feet for me. For darts, following some online guidance, by the way, that's where we got the idea. Me and my kids, you take 2.5-inch nails, tape, and standard sticky notes. Making the ammo is the complicated part, like trying to do it well, that is. So here's looking down the barrel. And it's funny, it looks like it's 10 yards long or something, but it's just 5 feet. I failed to mention we took 3/4-inch PVC sleeves, real short ones, and stuck them on the half-inch as mouthpieces, which was a recommendation. So you can see that here with the white contrasted with the gray. The gray is the half-inch, as you know, and there's the actual ammunition loaded. And this was the key as far as I could figure out. Get a nice round shape and have it fit well within the pipe. That sounds obvious, but it's not so much, not when you're fumbling through in the first few attempts, like you can see here. I got better as I got along, of course, but the thing is, too, you want it to fit nicely without being too snug, because then there's resistance, but, it's a give and take. You get just the right amount, of resistance, and it works great. Because the key is not letting any air escape around it, and, so that it proceeds down the tube without the dart. But if it's too snug, well, then that doesn't work, because there's friction, obviously, slowing it down. So if you couldn't guess, these have the virtue of being really, really cheap. They hold up fairly well, especially after a little experimentation. This is what my original versions looked like. I changed things to where now I have a much more uniform shape, and I also wrap the exterior in packing tape, which is also cheap, so that the paper holds up a lot better. Traditionally, you'd usually have something, well, fluffy, like fur or something like that, providing the air-catching ability. Sometimes it's surprising. You can see the backing, right? The air catcher is really short and broad compared to the long, thin needle, and it doesn't look like it would fly well, but it does. Where I intuitively was going for like a rocket shape almost, as you saw before, and then I got away from that and made more of this short, squat, cone, but a triangle in profile on the end. So here's a fast forward of doing it, and it's really hard to do it by yourself. It helps to have a helper, so this is a pretty clumsy attempt. It'll give you the basic idea. The thing that you're not going to see here that I learned after a while is I insert the dart into the tube once it's actually built, right, the dart, and then see where I want to cut it off to get that right kind of snugness that we talked about before. It's really hard to do that when you can't make that comparison. So, like I said, not bad. 3 layers of cardboard easily. They make a nice, satisfying thwack sound every time they hit the target. And the bottom line is, this is a really easy, like super easy, to make item, and it's fun to use. We've spent, my family and I, hours now with these.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
You can see how easily you can get good at shooting from a pretty decent distance. And there it is, exceedingly simple do-it-yourself blowgun.